servitude, depending on how you look at it, you still are property, but to a certain time frame. Also, say a woman is pregnant while she works out her servitude. Her child is born in that different land. Their child's automatically born free and is recognized as a citizen, regardless of where they come from. As opposed to the transatlantic slave trade, as soon as the baby's born, sold. Families almost never were separated during indentured servitude. But what I'm trying to get into is as far as slavehood, I feel like a lot of times Black people, we need to, in certain situations, differentiate the word slave from the atrocities that our ancestors faced. Just for the sake of as far as being a slave to God, I would just say like a servant. Because if you look into any other religious text from any other religious aspect, whether it be Christianity, Catholicism, whether it be Buddhism, they do say slave, servant to the will.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
I don't necessarily mean slave though.
To go back to what you say, I really think like people need to do a lot of research of what they speaking about before they even discuss it, because one word can have multiple meanings.
Of course, and that's that. I feel like that's what it lacks, because we take their terminology of slave, but when we take it to us, in the Black community, we say, "Oh, you work like a slave." What does that mean? I'm working like a slave. Am I working too hard? Am I working what am I doing? What is working like a slave?
Black people have some creative ways.
So Black people have like, you working like a Hebrew slave.
But I think when people, I think people need to understand certain words before they say it.
Yeah.
We can say we can just say, man, you working hard as shit, dog. I won't be working hard as shit. You get what I'm saying?
That mindset of slave. Like every time you mention somebody working hard, dang, you working like a Hebrew slave. What does that mean?
I think that's just a figure of speech, though.
But see, us Black people came up with that.
How
am I working too hard? Am I working too hard to survive, or am I working too hard because I want to?
Shit, that's
shit. If we thought like the people who were here, we would probably understand a little bit better. I don't know who out of the group that was brought here was my, great grandparents or great whatever. But I think a lot of the things that we say, of course, comes from some of the things that they possibly said.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it got to us,
right? And so, how would you know? You wouldn't know what they're meaning.
Now, I do know one fun fact about my great grandparents. My great grandmother was sold to Kentucky, and my great grandfather was sold to Louisiana. So that's how my family moved to Louisiana. So I have family literally everywhere. But my great-grandmother, she started from Kentucky. She was from Kentucky, and she met my great-grandfather from Louisiana. And so when they got married, they had 3 children. Those 3 children went with him. She got sold to Kentucky. So now I don't know who in the world where my family's at. And I don't know how I was created. Like, it goes so deep. That's why the Black history is so...
When you think about it, we got family all over the
We
world.
literally got family. We could be all cousins.
We got cousins in the Caribbean. We got cousins in the motherland. We got cousins in Europe because of how far-reaching slavery was. We share an ancestor with somebody who was sent to Jamaica and somebody who was sent to England or some stuff like that.
You just never know.
Nah, he disrespectful.
You never know.
Nah, that was totally disrespectful. That was totally disrespectful right there. They call on the music of the middle of the discussion.
But that's why I love, if anything, like I always say, people, I love African American history. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It goes so deep, and it gets you to the point where you like, dang, did real life happen?
It did. I always had this discussion with individuals, right? I said, how can American society ever respect their property?
Interesting.
That shit fucked up, ain't it?
Yeah.
Say, hey, on the cool, how can the descendants of people that had, slaves or, on plantation, how can American society ever respect their property? Not even humans, but property.
And it's just how it is when, like, back then. My great-grandmother was born during the Abraham Lincoln presidency, all that type of stuff.
I can't stand him.
But see, I grew up, it's like, oh, he freed us and everything.
He did not.
But if you go deep down in history,
it's money. It was
money related.
It was money.
Abraham Lincoln
and Jefferson
he
Davis
had to free the slaves to save the Union. That was his
yes.
only interest.
I'm thinking this whole time, like, oh, I love Abraham Lincoln.
Because
he's our hero.
He even, Abraham Lincoln even had states when they was trying to have their little panel discussion between the South and the North, especially when they was trying to go to the West. Because this is when it all started, when the Union was trying to explain to the West. The South was like, hey, player, this is just me talking. Hey, player, we're going to take our slaves, homie. We're going to do that. Abraham Lincoln say, hey, G, we ain't going to have that. Y'all can keep that in the South, but when we go out there, we ain't going to do that. You know what I'm saying? So if, let's say, for example, if the South had agreed, okay, we keep our slaves in the South, we ain't got to worry about the West. How would America look today?
It'd be a mess. Because Republicans back then were Democrats today, and Democrats back then was Republicans today. And so back then, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. He was a Republican, and which was money. Democrats today. If you go back into the Whig Party, you know how much the stuff they discussed in that Whig Party? Stuff that we can't even think of.
Just like
James Madison, Abraham Lincoln, all these Whig people.
Just like they did the Berlin Conference when they when all them top national when they went to Africa and when they split certain people on that continent. You get what I'm saying? And no native even went to the conference.
And think about the trade. I mean, not the trade, the train era. Who came with the train era? Chinese people. But they say the Chinese people did. Chinese was a part of it, but it was the Irish people.
Man, it's crazy.
And that's why I'm telling you, that's why I love history. And like my history teacher said in 9th grade, he said history will never stop.
Nah, even 5 minutes just now, 5 minutes just ago is a history.
A history moment.
Just what we just talking about discussing.
A history moment.
Come on now. Yeah. Watch this question. Do y'all think history repeat itself?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, tell me why history repeat itself.
Because humans are stupid. We don't learn from the shit that happened 50 years ago. We say, oh, that was so long ago. And we turn around and do the same thing.
Do the same.
Not only that, the media contributes to that. Because everything that the media reports, they're saying, oh, black people shooting black people, and they are stuck on why do we kill each other. But
I think that's an agenda. I think that's more
numbers wise. I don't need to get in numbers, but statistically speaking, more black people throughout the years have died behind white hands throughout history. Yep, exactly. Whether it be a white supremacist, whether it just be an angry ass white person with time that day, or whether it be a police officer with too much time on his hands.
What upsets me is that
they don't get into that though.
White kid went into school and shot up everybody.
Exactly. That's not on the news.
That goes back to what I said earlier. How can American ever respect their property?
I got one by holding their people accountable.
And watch this. I'm so glad you say that. History does not repeat itself because the problem never got solved. So what we're seeing is the same problem. The problem can get solved, but if the American society do solve that problem, that means they got to release some type of power within the structure of America. And nobody going to release their power to just find help with the solution. So the problem going to stay the same. So that's why a lot of people say history repeat itself.
So you believe that we are still slaves, basically?
That ain't what I said.
I feel like Oprah.
That it didn't. So slavery can repeat itself. If we're not careful.
What I'm saying is, it never. I got the mic.
Everybody
it never.
Watch Antebellum.
What I'm saying.
Hold on. Go watch Antebellum.
What I'm saying is, what I said. The problem never got solved.
Right.
The problem never got solved. Like for right now, I feel like the new slavery is pretty much minimum wage.